Alright, everybody, let's begin. We are continuing our reading of the Patreon requested book. It's by Hamza Yusuf. It's digging into the poetry of Imam al-Mawlud's Matharat al Qulub. It's been very interesting so far, so let's continue, fam. We're on page 16, very towards the bottom. The second aspect to the remedy is to remember death and the hereafter. What is meant by remember here is not the common function of memory, in which one merely recalls a fact without any reflection. In fact, no spiritual remedy mentioned in this book involves a flaccid process, so you have to be active, essentially. Each requires exertion and a true desire to achieve success in its fullest sense, so you actually have to put effort and truly desire to understand. It's not just going to be spoon-fed to you on a platter. Hard for the Wikipedia generations, right? Freeing the heart of diseases such as wantonness requires remembering the hereafter and its various states and tumultuous scenes. For example, one should reflect on the state of the grave, which will be either a parcel of paradise or a pit of hell. Once a person dies, his journey in the hereafter begins. Meditation on the hereafter requires learning more about its various station and passages, including the traverse, sirat, that's interesting, over which people must cross and behold below the awesome inferno of the hellfire. What? That's like, I've heard of that in Dante's Inferno, but that's Islamic too? The Sirat. Oh. So when you die, you'll see this pit? That sounds terrifying. Consistent reflection of this nature lessens the apparent value of extravagance and, in general, all the fleeting enticements this world has to offer, whether it is wealth, prestige, fame, or the like. Okay, so if you actually have consistent efforts of reflection on what the pit of hell looks like and what it takes to get there, this world's Hollywoodism and materialism and fashion and all the other sense will not affect you as much. The Imam cites the verse, God does not love those who exalt, Quran 28:76, whether it is in their wealth, status, or anything else. Status, huh? You should think about that. Images glorifying wantonness are ubiquitous in our times. Even as one drives, he or she is accosted by billboard advertisements that show the faces of wantonness. People in aesthetic postures with exaggerated smiles and gaping mouths showing off their supreme happiness because they own a particular type of car or smoke a certain brand of cigarettes. Oh, that's like the 1950s cigarette commercials. Or guzzle a special brand of beer, alcohol that destroys lives and minds. You know, the beer commercials is a good point. Budweiser, during the Super Bowl, Bud Light, crappy beers taste like carbonated water. A lot different than crafted beer, but at the same time, I get all alcohol is bad, but corporate mega brands just trash beer, and then it shows a guy with like a really bubbly, happy, super fit girl who's like, "Oh my god, I love you," and in reality, it's usually like real bar scenes are just at the 12th call. If you look who's in there, these people are like just full of despair, slopping around, peanuts on the floor. I mean, they're just like, last call, and then they have their beer goggles on and they hook up with someone in the bathroom. It's nothing like the commercials on TV. Nothing like it. According to advertising theory, when people are constantly exposed to such images, they not only incline toward the product but desire the culture associated with it. Yes. There was a book. Oh man, I just forgot it. I gotta find the name of it, but it was an old school book, like I think 1950s, something like that, 1920s maybe even. But it had the whole art of propaganda in it. Oh man, I gotta find where that is. We totally gotta read it, but it talked about the psychology behind it. And every day they're studying more and more. I mean, that's what the social media advertisers are doing, right? Everyone wants to get your dollar. It's a consumerist economy. Advertisers sell a lifestyle that glorifies wantonness and subtly dissuades reflection. Yeah, and I mentioned that when it came to Cardi B and got banned off Twitter. So now they don't even want you to be able to point this out. All those smiling people on billboards and all those who aim their glances toward them will inevitably die someday and stand before their Maker. This is the ultimate destiny of all human beings. It is the realization that is the slayer of wantonness. Now, what's interesting about this is that I, as much as I can, I skip commercials unless it's actually a good commercial. There's been some ones of like, donate to this charity, or here's a water filter. That's just very basic. I like the commercials also that just have no sound. I can't stand that corporate voice of like, call your doctor and see what it can do today. Like that really creepy, like artificial newscaster voice. Always hated that. But he is a definite person to help us understand Hamza Yusuf. Have a nice Earl Grey tea. It's such a great tea. Now, this section is titled Hatred. Ooh, this is something I'm very familiar with. Poem verse 32 through 33. Another disease is hatred for other than the sake of God, the exalted. Its cure is to pray for the one despised. Oh, that's hard. If I despise someone, how can I pray for them? That's hard to even think about. This is with the understanding that you have not done wrong if you are repulsed by the hatred you harbor, and do not act in accordance with it to harm the person. Oh, but sometimes that person needs to be harmed. That's a tough one. Some hate is viciously earned. So earned. Definition and treatment. The next disease is hatred. Bughd. So Bughd. In itself, hatred is not necessarily negative. It is commendable to hate corruption, evil, disbelief, murder, lewdness, and anything else that God has exposed as despicable. The Prophet, peace be upon him, never disliked the essence of anything, but only what something manifested. Wait though. The essence of prostitution is directly linked to what it manifests. So you could get into a very deep philosophical conversation between essence and manifestation, right? Hatred or strong dislike of a person for no legitimate reason is the disease of Bughd. Like Trump derangement syndrome. That's like people. I had to listen to somebody. Okay, I worked with this person for like a 5-hour shift. Every single hour they talked about how they hoped Trump would die of COVID. That was pretty psychotic for me. That somebody every hour was just bragging about how they want the president to die. Meanwhile, this person probably doesn't pay enough attention to politics and probably doesn't know the good that Trump has done. He's done bad, done good like everyone else. But that disease of Bughd is probably something that's what I would link her with, right? It's like just constant, just like obscene amounts of hatred for a person she's never even met, and her governor, our governor, has more direct influence over our lives than the president at the federal level. Yet I haven't heard her mention anything about Gavin Newsom. See what I'm saying? The Prophet, peace be upon him, once said to his companions, "Do you want to see a man of paradise?" A man then passed by, and the Prophet said, "That man is of the people of paradise." One companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him, wanted to find out what it was about this man that earned him such a commendation from the messenger of God. So he decided to spend some time with this man and observe him closely. He noticed that this man did not perform the night prayer vigil, tahajjud. Okay, the night prayer vigil is called tahajjud. Or do anything extraordinary. Notice this. Anything extraordinary. So you can be a simple folk and, earn paradise. You don't have to be like the number one doing everything, right? He appeared to be an average man of Medina. The companion finally told the man what the Prophet, peace be upon him, had said about him, and asked if he did anything special. The man replied, "The only thing that I can think of, other than what everybody else does, is that I make sure that I never sleep with any rancor in my heart towards another." That was his secret. Oh, so not going to bed too angry? Too full of spite? Don't go to bed on an angry heart? That's why you gotta cut off certain phone conversations and not look at certain things at a certain hour, right? That's why I don't keep my phone volume on. Always turn it on silent. My phone's always on silent. I'll look at it when I want to look at it, but that's hard. That's really hard for the heart. Depends, right? But I get what they're saying. What do you think, fam? What do you think about it?